Welcome to Bell Brewing, engineers talking about beers.
Today we're talking about Abbey 12 from St. Bernardus Abbey. Alright, so according to these very large, very fancy bottle, look what's up. St. Bernardus Brewery was founded in 1946 in Poitou province of Flanders, West Flanders, Belgium. Not to be confused with East Flanders. Nobody likes that place. These exceptional quality ales are brewed by using only the finest malts, locally grown hops, yeast, and artesian water pumped from a depth of 500 feet. Deep water. It's got conspiracies.
Well, the water like that makes a big difference though, right? So specialized water, like we've talked about previously, can be really heavy in the flavors and the composition of a beer. So knowing that the location and specialized water probably makes that rather difficult to replicate.
And the conspiracies!
Anything else in particular in here?
No, that's about it for this.
Living ale satisfies tastes. So living means that probably not...
it's probably bottle conditioned.
Yeah,
it's a quadrupel.
And at least not filtered.
Yeah,
kind of deal.
Probably not filtered, bottle aged, bottle conditioned, quadrupel. So it should be real strong. It's 10%. So this is going to be a lot of alcohol flavor, big punchy beer.
What do you expect from a quadrupel?
Well, yeah. So smell or it's a quad ale, right? Especially a Belgian, especially supposed to be strong, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the whole point.
Big alcohol, usually dark. Looking for dark fruits.
Dark fruit flavors, dark fruit aromas. You're going to pick up some of those alcohol flavors, I think, or the alcohol aromas, right? To kind of
aroma
when you
flavors,
pick that up.
aging.
Yeah, they're big beers. That's the whole point. Quad being 4 times
the basic
Belgian.
And Belgians are strong in the first place. Even a regular Belgian ale is still a moderately strong beer. So always note that Belgian beer is strong. It's also usually rooted in yeast flavor, though a quadrupel is a little different because it's so much alcohol and a lot going on. The yeast flavor kind of gets overshadowed here, but there is still some yeast fermentation characteristics that are going to be important here.
Right. So let's take a smell.
Not smelling a ton right away. Get a little bit of graininess, a little bit of a slight acidity.
I think some of the alcohols are coming out of the aroma. It's overpowering a lot of maybe a little bit of a fig or raisin smell. So some of the dark fruit is shining through. It's really in the background more than the carbonation and what I would consider the aroma of the alcohol to come out. Because it's such a big beer, such a strong beer, it's really dominating the aroma.
It's definitely not filtered. You can see a little bit floating around in it. Held up to the light, there's a hint of reddishness. I can't get you guys to see that, but I do. That's the best I can get you. There's a hint of reddishness, but it is still very dark. There's a little floaties, but nothing looks suspicious.
He seems to have lost his mind on how we do beer videos.
Now can I taste it?
Yeah, you taste it all you want.
Oh, important leader sound. Can I taste the beer?
The flavors should be very sweet because of the quad, right? 4 times to pump up with the malt characters and the sweetness involved from the beer itself. The alcohol might put on a little tanginess to it, a little acidity. There we go, acidity. Yeast character. The yeast character might give you a little bit of like a spicy or banana flavors.
There is a hint of banana, but really what's coming out strong here is a dark fruit. It's it's like a rum raisin. Very strong rum raisin sort of flavor. Smooth. despite being 10% alcohol, like there's a little warming, but not a lot. So you're not really tasting the alcohol. It's very sweet, but not cloyingly sweet. It's pretty enjoyable, you know, it's sweet, rum, raisiny sort of flavors.
I think rum raisin is an accurate description, right? If you go buy like a rum raisin bread and you're looking for that, because the rum, the alcohol aspect, that warming sensation, the dark fruit that comes from the raisin, and the bready, in the sense that there is some different grains or malt characters in there, along with the yeast that's bringing in some of those really interesting characteristics. I think that's really fun. It's, I don't know, maybe too much going on personally. I know traditionally, and we'll say for the Bell brothers, that Belgians as a whole are just not exactly high on our list of favorites. I think they're too big or they're too strong for my drinking ability. They're very much sipping beers, and if I want to sip something, I'll go harder liquor versus beer. But in this sense, the beer itself is incredibly full, rich, good rum raisin flavors.
Yeah, it definitely, sipping beer is the right way to go here. This is not something you're just gonna pound back a whole pint of real quick. It's just way too much flavor going on. In fact, I would say you would only want to order something like this in half pints at most, because there is just so much flavor. If you ordered a whole pint, I'd be sitting here for a whole day just trying to sip through this beer. It's a lot, and also it's 10%. If you order a whole pint, it's your only pint that day.
Right. Don't drink the whole bomber, right? That would be.
Don't drink the whole bomber and try and drive.
or you're not going anywhere, right? For a
Stay
while.
home.
Right.
It's a good coronavirus quarantine beer.
Go get yours today and drink it during your 2-week quarantine. Hopefully these videos are coming out over the big quarantine if I can get on top of them. Right? Everybody gets to sit and watch Bell Brothers during your quarantine. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate all of your time.
It's got a nice mouthfeel. It's very smooth. I wouldn't call it velvety. It's definitely not velvety, but it's a smooth mouthfeel. The sweetness kind of gives it a smooth finish. It's not dry, it's not crisp. You kind of get a lingering sweetness on the tongue for a while.
It is a wet finish, right?
Yeah.
If there's a dry finish, this is a wet finish. There's a lot of residual sugars remaining in there. The palate is thick. It's not sleek or smooth on the palate. Honestly, I think the carbonation, because they're carbonating it in the bottle itself and it's unfiltered, the yeast really got a chance to pump up the carbonation in the beer. And so you get some of that carbonic bite, which is different than normally your big stouts or your big beers, is because they'll usually tone down the carbonation to allow those other flavors to come through. And this just like cranks it up. And so some of the carbonations are in that same range as like an amber or a brown ale.
Yeah, I would say it's up there with like your more...
Not a course.
Nowhere near coarse. But I would say it's up there with a brown ale or a pale ale in that level of carbonation. You know, it's definitely more medium to medium high carbonation.
There you go.
Overall impressions. This is very good. It's sweet, so if you're looking like a dessert, this is a good dessert beer. Like you're done, finished your whole meal, you want to sit down and sip this and talk about something. This is a perfect beer for that.
It's a port beer.
Yeah, it's a port beer. It's perfect for that.
I mean, there are other quote-unquote port beers, but I would say that this beer was very reminiscent of like if you're gonna get a port out of your wine selection, you want to sit and sip and enjoy and heavy, strong with your friends and talk about politics and the coronavirus spread patterns.
Smoke your pipe.
Yes, yes, I did my... Yeah, or my vape. Vaping is all the rage.
It's the perfect beer for that. It's a good dessert, you know, sipper beer. Like we said, good sweetness, good raisin rum flavors. The higher carbonation is different. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it.
A little off-putting, personally.
I think a little lighter carbonation or maybe nitro.
I think if you were thinking about like traditional Abbey beers and the style in which these
for
like
style, this is right on.
Well,
No, good traditional Abbey beers have a higher carbonation.
really, you think so?
Mm-hmm. This is right on for that style. This is supposed to be a higher carbonated style. But personal preference wise, I think if you went a lighter carbonation or maybe a nitro on this, it would reinforce, like this with a velvety mouthfeel, I think would be so good. be like a luscious rum.
I'm down for a
raisin
nitro.
rum cake.
I'm down for
nitro.
nitro. I think that would be an excellent choice for this. Honestly, I was thinking it would be more like, you know, cask self-serve, like a self-pump kind of deal, where because it's in the cask, because you're kind of, it's a little flatter. And if it wasn't going to go nitro, I think the flatness would help it benefit this beer in the sense of allowing you to enjoy those smoother, darker, richer flavors, rather than that like weird like punch. The carbonic bite that comes in, it makes you want to think like champagne. And even though it's not quite champagne, right? Take that
definitely not that bubbly.
But it's the way the beer is fed onto the palate it just feels way too bubbly to me. I think that's probably the biggest takeaway. Other than no, I think that's the biggest takeaway.
That's the only real negative I have to say is the carbonation maybe doesn't blend, but I think. I mean, I don't have the standard right on hand.
I do. So it is actually supposed to be high carbonation. It says high carbonation, but not sharp, smooth but noticeable alcohol warmth. Body can range from medium light to medium full and creamy.
So it's medium. So I'd say it's medium full. It's got that smooth alcohol flavor, but so like we said, it fits the standard. However, I disagree with the standard.
Right? So I would say that we need two different gradients, right? Two style. I think we can both agree it's probably what, 9, 10?
Yeah, it's right on style.
It is dead on two style, right? So like as far as a beer, as an Abbey Ale quad Belgian beer, this is smack on, right? Excellent beer. For Bell Brothers, my personal enjoyability, I'm gonna have to grade this one a solid like 6.
Only 6, really?
I just don't enjoy drinking this beer. It is
I
not.
Give it
I don't
8.
like it. Yeah.
I really like the flavor. The only thing is the bubbliness. Like if you backed off the bubbliness and made it smooth, I would love to sit and sip this all day. Like just sit down and just sip away at that. And like, sweet. That sweet rum raisininess, it would be perfect to just sit and sip away at if it was a little less bubbly.
Nope. Hell no. No. I do not enjoy this beer. Let me say it that way, right? Like I will grade it and I will judge it all you want, and two style, it's a fantastic beer. I do not enjoy drinking this beer. It is not my style. I don't know what's wrong with me on that one, but
I'll finish yours.
I don't like it.
And that's how beer works.
All right. Exactly.
You find style. That's why there's so many styles and so many different things going on. Is because everybody has their own preferences, and you got to find what works for you.
Shout out to Benny Wilkerson. Thanks for reaching out for us, hitting up our comments. We appreciate your input. We like Pollinar's, was it Polliner Oktoberfest, right? So we had one Oktoberfest session. Was it like last year that we had an Oktoberfest series? So we're gonna be probably hitting some more Oktoberfest come this October, which we had some summertime for that. But again, thanks, Brent's father, Benny Wilkerson. Mr. Wilkerson, we hear you, we understand, appreciate seeing you, and thanks for reaching us out in the comments. Anybody else wants to, please, hit us up down below, hit the comments. Tell us a beer that you're drinking. What are you into right now? What are you drinking? What do you like seeing? And what else can we get into? We appreciate any of that feedback, any of that input. Point us towards a direction. Is there a beer you'd like us to see? That would be fantastic. Or let us try, check out. Because we want to be participants. We want to be participants in your beers. Make it as applicable as possible, especially since we're all stuck in the quarantine together.
This has been Engineers Talking About Beers.
Cheers.